going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You know who it is by now.
Jimothy.
Now, ladies and gents, I am back after my exploits in the remote duel tournament that was hosted by our Geek Out. I will leave a link in the description to the Discord if you're from the UK and you definitely want to get involved. It's a great place to be. A lot of rogue, a lot of meta, just a great mismatch of decks and people, and it was definitely most welcome there. So I just wanted to give you guys a bit of a local report as I took Subterror Guru Numeron to the remote duel local and obviously tried to compete. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of rundown of my matches. So this was probably one of the biggest tournaments that they've hosted. There were 34 players, ladies and gents, which was absolutely crazy. There was quite a few players. Again, it's still growing. There's potentially room for even more players, and if it does get any bigger, then obviously there's going to be like more prizes and whatnot on board. But at the moment, there's 34 players that were involved, and there was 5 rounds, I believe. Yeah, there was 5 rounds. So in round 1, I was facing up against Paleozoics. I lost the die roll. He just got a crazy setup. He solemn strike my guru, which was my main play starter because I didn't have anything else in hand apart from trap cards. And then obviously he just out advantaged me, mainly due to totally awesome and just his swap frog was just doing loads and loads of work basically. Game 2, it was a bit more of a grind. Basically what happened was he was getting a lot of pluses off my trap card activations. Obviously Subterror Final Battle activates. It's a normal trap card, so all of his Paleozoics were able to just kind of like wall up and survive until the next turn, as I wasn't able to clear them because I only had like 1 or 2 monsters on board, and eventually got totally awesome on board and just basically just won the game. So that was round 1. Round 2, I was playing against Zoodiak Outlich. I lost the die roll and inevitably I got outgrinded, ladies and gents. If you let Zoodiak Outlich just basically just recycle their traps and just keep going and going and going, they'll just out resource you. On top of that, he had his zoo engine as well, which was putting in a lot of work. In game 2 of round 2, I actually won that game. Basically it was a bit of loads and back and forth, and it got to a point where he had 2 Outlich on field. He managed to put 1 in the graveyard as he wanted to Nightmare Phoenix my Subterror Final Battle. No, he wanted to Nightmare Phoenix my Ice Dragon's Prison, so obviously in response I flipped Ice Dragon's Prison, banished both of his Outliches off field, and there was nothing more he could do. I think he only ran 2 Outlich as well, so he was basically stuffed and the game was over from there. Game 3, however, this was entirely down to me, so I could have actually won this game. It was loads of back and forth. It was close to time, probably about 5 or so minutes left, and I managed to get Zexal onto the field, but I summoned Zexal in defense position instead of attack position, and he had already used his Zoodiak Trident effect. He only had Trident on board and a couple of back row that I definitely could have negated because I had no, I couldn't have negated his back row, but I did have a few things just basically as a follow-up for the next turn. But because I summoned it in defense, I couldn't attack with it, and inevitably he went into AA Zeus, and I didn't have a Solemn Judgment or a warning set, so I just couldn't do anything. He board wiped me, and then he got back to my turn. I went to play my Hidden City to get Guru, he board wiped that again, and I was just basically at a loss. So that was definitely down to me and my mistake. Something that I'm definitely going to remember going forward. Round 3, I managed to get a bye, which was really lucky. It allowed me to just kind of think about my deck. I actually sided properly. It took me about 30 minutes to just think about how I'm siding, and the side, it definitely helps. As you notice, there's a few cards in here like the Skullmeisters, which wasn't in my original profile, that I've actually put in just because that's what I sided in, and it proved to put in a lot of work, ladies and gents. Fortunately, I didn't play against any virtual worlds, so it wasn't as problematic as it could be, but definitely a good tech right there. So round 4, I played against Gladiator Beast Tri-Brigade. Round 1, I managed to win the die roll. I just out-resourced him. Guru just puts in so much work. He went to attack into my Guru. I had 2 Subterror Final Battles on field. One of them to flip him face up, and the other one to increase his attack to 3400, which basically beat over one of his monsters. And then Phoenix was just negating his Shurag, the Ominous Omen. It was just fantastic. Game 2 in that game, which actually went to time, and that's why we drew in time. It was a big grind game. I managed to get Infinite Track Fortress Megaclops on the field, and there wasn't a lot that you could do about it. But what happened was, because I was battling over his monsters, they were replacing themselves as gladiator beasts do, and it was just basically walling up, and it got to a point where I just couldn't do enough damage. I managed to get my Numeron network to go off again, and I was about to summon the gates, and then I realised my health was like on 1k. I had 1k health left, so if I'd attacked into any of his monsters, I would have basically killed myself to be able to proc their effects to obviously double their damage. So it was an interesting one. So during time, and then round 5 I played against Metal Foes Tenyi. Game 1 he got Zexo locked. It was so horrible to watch it, but like I said, I've been VFD'd the last couple of weeks in these remote duel locals, so I wasn't about to give anybody any favours. So I Zexo locked in game 1. Game 2 it was a bit of a grind, but basically what happened was I managed to get Crackdown and Guru on field, and then I managed to crack down his he had a 2500 normal monster on field, as well as the field spell Flawless Perfection of the Tenyi. So I cracked down his monster, and then I flipped his monster face down with Guru, then I flipped Guru back up, Guru does his thing, and then I flipped his monster back up manually, and that obviously means that monster's mine then, so I was able to attack with that monster, and I just did lethal basically. I outgrinded him. Obviously I had Subterror Performed battle and I had Fiendus in hand, so there wasn't a lot he could do, but it was a very, very interesting deck, that Metal Foes Tenyi deck. Something that I've never seen before, which is really, really interesting. So ladies and gents, that is definitely my deck list. What I will say is I am very impressed with this deck and how it functions. There's one thing that's missing: draw power. Definitely I'm going to look into potentially putting in a pot of extravagance. If I could get my hands on a pot of prosperity, I definitely would put one in, because I run double of all of the gates, so I can afford to banish one of those, as well as some of the more other non-essential parts of my extra deck. Some of the super poly targets, for example, they can definitely get banished. So if I manage to get a hold of pot of prosperity, I definitely will put it in. But for the most part, I'm going to put in an upstart goblin, because I know I've got one of those, and I'm going to put in a pot of extravagance, just because I need to see monsters and my main deck gurus basically. Also, I'm thinking about potentially putting in Subterror Numistrix, just for another additional thing, because what I tend to find is Guru kind of sticks to the board once he's established, especially with Fiendus, and I can always flip him face down with either the Hidden City or Subterror Final Battle, and that means I can obviously then flip him straight face up or face down or whatever, and then get my Umistrix on board. It is a little bit of a risk, because Umistrix is a bit of a brick if you don't search him, but because I'm playing, I believe it's like a 41 or 42 card deck, the chances of me seeing him are not as likely, and I can obviously just search him off Guru like I do with Subterror Nemesis Archer. So that's something that I'm considering doing going forward. Now obviously these locals, they host them every Wednesday and every Sunday, so there's obviously opportunity for me to keep playing and keep practicing, and this is basically, ladies and gents, what the whole channel was about, just to be able to improve, to be able to play, and to be able to just conversate with you guys in ways that I can just get better at the game basically. So definitely look forward to some more local reports. And we find ourselves at the end of another video, ladies and gents. If you did play any remote duel locals, let me know in that comment section below. Also, let me know if there's anything that I could do to improve this deck, or just to kind of make it a little bit more consistent. I'm always open to constructive criticism. Well, if you did like this content, you know what to do by now. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I will definitely see you guys in the next video. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.